Welcome to the second episode of my interview with Jenny Ottaway. Jenny hails from Sydney, Australia. She is a relationship coach, and her business is the foundation of you. As I mentioned in the first episode, we were enjoying our conversation so much, I didn't realize we'd gone over my usual interview time. And since I didn't want to leave any of the conversation out, I broke it into 2 episodes. In this second episode, we talk about Jenny's journey of self-discovery and the magic of being vulnerable and learning to forgive yourself. So let's get started.
Yeah, it's really true. I guess, it's that accepting of things and understanding that if things aren't going well, it's not because you're broken or that there's something wrong with you. It's just that's the natural progression of life. And it's a matter of learning what you need to learn from this and moving forward.
Yeah. Yeah. And I wonder about sort of the chemical makeup of the brain and, how there's a big push around, and maybe it's just because I'm in the conversation now, but there's a big push around mindfulness and, mindset and, how does that stack up against, real mental health issues and that chemical in the brain. And, because I say, oh yeah, life is, always look on the bright side of life, but really, is that a mindset thing, or is it just, am I lucky, or, why am I able to see life in a certain way to other people? I don't know. I'm still trying to research and find that out and look at what is it that makes me see things a different way and be so incredibly surprised when they don't work out the way I think they're gonna, like a friend described it yesterday. She goes, it's almost like if like this nuclear explosion happened, I was like, I never saw that. Yeah, I never saw the nuclear explosion. I just saw, rainbows and butterflies.
Right. It's like my friend. I have a friend who's very optimistic. And she tells this little story. She goes, my mom says I'm like this kid who she gets a box for Christmas and it's got horse poop in it. And she just digs through the box and she says, Mom, this is really great because I know there's a pony in here somewhere. It's an idea that I don't know. To me, I think it's a combination of nature and nurture. So, someone comes out with that, a sense that life is wonderful and why wouldn't things be good? And 2 things can happen, right? Depending upon the family that they're born into. There's a family that supports that and encourages that optimism. And then there's the family that doesn't for whatever reason. And, you walk down 2 different roads depending. So it's a combination of those things. And, but of course you have it in varying degrees, because the fact that, as you say, you just expect things to turn out okay in the end, knowing full well that there might be some bumps and ups and downs, but that in the end, you're going to get that positive thing that you want or expect or hope for. And why doesn't everyone think like that? Because obviously many people don't.
Yeah. And I saw this quote, a couple years ago now, but it was by a guy named Steve Maribaldi. And it said, as I look back on my life, the things that I thought were rejections were actually steering me into something better. That's not the exact quote, but it's the gist of it. And I think, when I look back and I thought I was being rejected from something good, I was actually being redirected to something better. And that's the quote. And you go, if I can look at life through that, and it doesn't need to be like you talking about nature and nurture and families who support you and families who don't. What I find is, for myself, I've got a very supportive family. They're all back in the US, but, I find that you just got to do what's right for you. And we can't worry about what other people think. Right. And they say that that's the biggest empowerment gift you can give yourself. As soon as you stop worrying about what other people think, that's the, that's that's like the key to your success, because then you're taking risks because you're not fearing judgment from other people. You know, risks which better yourself, like not, you know, risks that harm you. But yeah, you know, I think that is where the gold comes. And just because you're in a certain space or place in your life doesn't mean you have to stay there. You know, I'm constantly reading books about just different things, you know, whether it be financial assistance, like learning how to be better with my finances, learning how to tap into that part of my intuition, you know, using my intuition more, which is your gut instinct, which is actually your guiding voice, you know, that we often have those red flags that go, oh, that's not the right thing. And we do it anyway because we're not listening. Yeah. So I think that is where, if you're open to learning, if you open yourself to, it, just because I've always done it this way doesn't mean I can't listen to that perspective. That's where, you know, the gold comes.
I have to plug my computer in. Hold on a second.
Okay. You're back. You're back. Your battery was the battery going.
Yeah. That's right. It's exactly right. I got that little message. Your battery is at 7%. I'm like, oh. I remember thinking when I sat down, oh, I need to plug that thing in. And then I got busy doing something. I forgot. So luckily it didn't die on us.
Yeah. You saved the day.
Yeah, it's really interesting. It sounds like you've done a lot of self-discovery, and that you know, you've managed to dispel a lot of the stories that you had in your mind about how things should be, or what, you know, the right path to take. So can you tell me one in particular that really sticks with you in terms of, you know, learning that I don't need to listen to that anymore because that's just not right?
I think it's more the story that I was telling myself, you know, where I thought that life was going to be a certain way. And when it wasn't, then I really, you know, had to package all of that optimism and, you know, the nuclear explosion that happened, and you know, I had to package all of that. And I think, I don't know if this is, you know, my learning was that I had to forgive myself. And, you know, they say that forgiveness of others is super important. But I think really for myself, if we all can forgive ourselves for the mistakes that we've made, the decisions that we've made that at the time felt like the right ones, then I think that is probably for me the biggest learning, and something that I do now, that I, you know, I used to not see myself that way, and I would kind of go, oh, you know, you're wrong, you know, Jenny, you've done such a, you know, you're so wrong. But really everything happens the way that it's meant to happen. And for me, I just went, I forgive myself, you know, and I wrote, I actually find writing, and I'm sure, you know, it's no secret, everybody knows that journaling and putting our thoughts down on paper or on computer is so beneficial. And so I wrote an ebook about, you know, how to build yourself up again when your dream relationship breaks down, you know, that, and you know, and I listed points on why and how and what I did. And forgiveness of yourself is number one, you know, to allow yourself to go, hey, just because I made a mistake doesn't mean I'm a bad person. That's or, right. You know, whatever bad is for you or for me. Yeah. It's really just about, that was the course that my life took at that point. And, you know, forgive myself for those decisions where, you know, I might have dragged a couple of people along. in that.
Well, I mean, yeah.
You know, and we all do, you know, because we're all intertwined with each other. And that, I think, for me was the biggest lesson, is just to be kind, you know, be kind to ourselves, and be kind to others who are also, you know, as we say, we don't, struggling. We don't know what other people are going through. So be kind to ourselves, be kind to others. And I used to have on my refrigerator, three words, and they were gratitude, compassion, and kindness. And I put them on the fridge. There's not much else on the fridge. There's a couple of photos of the girls when they were little, but those, you know, just on pink paper. And every morning when I open the fridge, or every evening when I open the fridge, those three things and their definitions, those three words and the definitions are there, because I wanted to show that to my girls, but I also wanted to remind myself, you know, if we go into our day and our lives with those three things, then the world's a better place.
Yeah, it's so true. We are so hard on ourselves, right? And the thing is, we're just doing the best we can. And what value is there in being that hard on ourselves when, you know, you think about it, it's like, we wouldn't berate our friend because they made a choice that maybe didn't turn out to be the best decision, right? We wouldn't go around telling them how stupid they were and couldn't they figure that out ahead of time, and what fool would do something like that. But those are all things that we say to ourselves about a choice that we make that didn't pan out quite the way we wanted. And you know, like when you take kids, right, when they didn't do well in school, they didn't get the grades they were supposed to, whatever, if we speak to them in that way, is that any incentive for them to do better? No.
Right.
But yet, that's what we do to ourselves. We're not helping ourselves at all in that way. And so, definitely learning to be kind to yourself, learning to accept that you're human and you make mistakes, and okay, so let's dig our way out of this. What was there to learn? How can we do better? Can we just, you know, shake their hand and say, okay, we're done. We're good with that. It's over. We now need to move forward. And how can we learn? Yeah.
And I think that, you know, that ability comes when we enable ourselves to be vulnerable with each other, with ourselves, sharing from a place that is human, and just going, you know what, I did this, and you know, it comes with, you have to be a little bit self-aware to allow yourself to do that, to take whatever is going to happen when you put that out into, you know, the space. But the vulnerability, you know, then watch where the magic happens, is because people go, wow, I relate to that. I understand that. I feel that. Because, you know, you're not saying, oh, I'm always so positive. It's like,
I'm always so together, you know, I don't know what the story is with you over there.
You know, I got it totally sorted. You know, how many times do we distance ourselves from people who go, yeah, you know, I don't know what your problem is, but I'm all right. You know, and you go, oh, really? So I gravitate towards people who admit that the struggle is real, or as I've got a friend who says the juggle is real. You know, the juggle is real for all of us, and it's just where we're at, and it's you know, it's wonderful that we can come together and as people, and as in the sisterhood and as soul sisters, we come together and we go, yeah, you know, I'm feeling that too, and then, you know, we gather that strength from each other.
Yes, it's true. And I think in terms of finding that group that you can be vulnerable within, and you know will support you and have your back, I think that's really key in growing as you grow and develop, because it's hard to do that in a vacuum.
Yes. Yeah, you hit it on the head. It's totally so hard to do that on your own. And that's the magic. The magic happens when we reach out to others, and we form either that tribe, or we form, you know, we get rid of the naysayers, and, you know, the people who are so intent on saying, well, my way is the right way, or my way is the only way. You know, I joke, I go, well, there's the right way, and then there's the Ottaway.
Very good.
I know, I love that. But you know, I think that it really is about being able to be vulnerable, put ourselves in other people's shoes, and just going, you know what, we're all in it together. And it's and isn't it a wonderful place to be, because we don't know what tomorrow brings, and yeah, life is precious. So
it is. And you know, tomorrow can be so much better than today. You just never know. You know, so you got to look, I mean, what's the point in looking on the negative side? You have to look at the positive side. It's just, you know, it's the only way to move forward.
Yeah, I think that the negative allows people to dwell in a very similar emotion. You know, it's that feeling of pain versus the feeling of, you know, joy and elation. You know, there's everybody gets something from whatever attitude or emotion that they're feeling. And, you know, I know that to dwell in that negative space, it doesn't serve me. And I know, you know, and they've done studies that have said it releases not hormones, but it releases, you know, the negative, sort of, not endorphins, because that's the positive, but it releases chemicals into our body that don't serve us and can possibly lead to things that become diseases, right?
Yeah.
And so that connection between what we think and what we feel in our body, we're getting more and more aware of what the consequences are.
Yeah.
And, you know, they've said, like, if you can practice meditation for 21 days, it becomes a habit. I'm still trying. I'm still trying, you know, because I've always been that high energy, dancing
Mine's always
person.
Moving, working. Yeah.
Right. But I know that, you know, and I'm surrounding myself with people who practice meditation, who practice yoga, whereas I've always done, you know, boxing classes and, you know, high energy things. But I know that the peace, and that peace that can come within yourself comes when, you know, we are still, and we allow ourselves to feel that slow down, you know, because life is crazy, and social media is crazy, and you know, it's like being on the hamster wheel. I don't, have you ever seen that? There's a video, I think it's from Vine some years ago, but it was a hamster, and the two hamsters are on the wheel, and one of them falls off and is just like clinging onto the outside of the wheel while the other one's still spinning, and it's being, you know, hit on the back of the head by part of the wheel, and it's just like, you know, but then, you know, then it stops, it gets thrown off, and then it jumps back on the wheel, and it goes again, you know, and it's like it never happened, you know. And I think, well, that's how life is sometimes, you know, we get hit by the hamster wheel and then we jump back on. Yeah. But if we just maybe, but if we just maybe stopped for a second and went, whoa, that was pretty intense. Yeah. You know, and allowed ourselves to sit. You know, if I allow myself to sit with what just happened, then I can get a better understanding of how to move forward, maybe not at such a frenetic pace. Yeah. It's a work in progress, that kind of thing, you know? Yeah. And, you know, I love being able to talk about it, and because I'm still learning, you know, I'm still sharing and growing, and I don't feel like I've reached a destination. I don't think there will be a destination. I just think that it's a constant evolution of our souls, and, you know, our constant kind of understanding of where we want to be in our lives, and what makes us feel that sense of happiness. Yeah. So tell me a little bit about what's happening for you now, and what you see going into the future. You said at one point your job, your position was made redundant, and I know that you have a company now. So can you tell me a little bit about that progression? Yeah, it's a really great space and place to be. I have you know, there's a lot of gratitude around what happened, even though at the time it was like, I had just finished a really great customer meeting, and I had pre-approval for a mortgage loan, and there were all these things that were lining up. And then when the role that I was doing was made redundant, I was like, what? But then I realized for 26 years I'd been working in corporate Australia. I'd been working a lot of those years with American companies, just through, not through purpose, but just happened. I aligned with a lot of the visions and missions that those companies were doing. But then when I was made redundant, I went, actually, you know what? Rather than living the company's dreams and helping them achieve their goals, why don't I look at how I can help myself achieve my goals? And I created this company called The Foundation of You, because I wanted to help other women who are going through the similar transitions that I had just been through, to help them break down the walls that we build for ourselves. The strategies and coping mechanisms that we use to get through life, that tough, I've got to be good at this. And I wanted to break down all of that and then create this foundation again, which was really strong around, you've got this, positive affirmations, building each other up and allowing us to be our best selves. And I started to look, now I'm following more of my intuition and feeling, how does that feel? And I've had conversations with women who have been going through similar situations that I went through, and, helping them navigate through, recommending books to read. And it's still, the company is still evolving. Is it a coaching business? Is it a, is it a speaking business? Is it, I'm kind of, I call this my year of living dangerously, which, little asterisks of dangerously is kind of like, suburban safe.
Yeah.
But it is about really taking on whatever adventure comes my way. And it started with, speaking in India and meeting you, Joanne, which, we actually spent quite a bit of time together.
We did. We had some good times together.
I know. And some interesting, going through the metro and, in India, like that was adventures. Yeah. So we had some really great adventures. And I think that's what my, this year has been for me is, so I've created this company. What does it look like? How can I help others? Because I want to empower, and is it going on traveling excursions together? Is it, I don't actually know. I work best when I work with other people. I know that when I work from home, it's not, I need the energy of other people. I feed off of that energy. I also create energy. So the weeks that it's just me here, I know, I'm probably not at my peak potential. When I have my kids, when I've got my girls or I've got the dog is here, it's funny, even just having the dog's energy, but getting back to what am I actually trying to achieve? So I'm trying to create a business where I can help other people. And one of my things is networking. Like, I'm a consummate networker. So I'm doing some work with an Australian filmmaker here, and he has done 16 films, and he's all about creating it's a different space. He's actually looking at he did a film on intuition, so I've followed that. His next film is on fear and facing it, and so I'm actually aligning myself with the work that he's doing, and I'm learning heaps. And he's become a friend, and I'm doing workshops that other people are running with him and his wife, and I'm just learning. So whilst I'm also teaching and helping others, I'm also learning myself. And I don't know where it's going to end up, Joanne. I feel like I'm even, like, next week I'm starting to help with just to help some people with their service department business, where they have corporate people come and lease these apartments for the duration of their stay. So I'm helping them, which is kind of not really aligned with my business, but I'm helping others have the best experience, because that's the other thing I like to do when people come to Sydney is I help create experiences, and I pick people up from the airport and I take them to attractions, around Sydney, and that's just what I've done for friends and people that a couple of people that I haven't been friends with or didn't know them before, but they were on LinkedIn and they came out to Australia. So it's just, I'm keeping myself and my options open, constantly learning. And I know that at some point it's all going to
gel together.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I'm just giving myself that gift of it's okay. It's perfectly fine.
Yeah.
I'm meeting incredible women, and I'm learning so much in cultures. And, I've, like you probably, I've become friends with a lot of different cultures, and understanding, no matter where we are in the world, we are all going through exactly the same things or similar things, as we said in the earlier part of the piece, is everybody, we're all women, and men are on their own journeys, but women that I meet, the women that I meet, we are all wanting to, just again, live our best life. And if I can help one person in the room of people live their best life, or if they can take something away where they go, right, that's what I want to do, or that's how I see life, great.
Yeah. I think that's terrific. It was interesting when I spoke to some of the women in India. A couple of them said, as we were talking about things and about, some of the comments that I've received from other women in different areas of the world, and they were kind of surprised. They thought, oh, so it's not just here in India, or it's not just me. Other women are experiencing these kinds of things, and it's happening in other countries. And I said, yeah. These are basic human interactions that we all have. And so, yeah. Life is a wonderful, exciting challenge. I mean,
It is. And I think, this work that I'm doing with this filmmaker, Bill Bennett, and he is, doing this film and interviewing people around fear. And why do we have fear? And he's talking to, he's going to be talking to some amazing people who have overcome fear and who face fear. And just like that fascinates me, because fear of judgment of what other people think, fear of death, there's just so many different things that are around fear. And I love looking at it through a microscope and going, right, well, what is it that we have in all of our lives? Imagine if we were more fearless, what our lives would look like.
Right.
Moving halfway across the world, coming out to Australia and marrying an Australian, that for me, I can't even believe that 28 years I'm still here. 28 years later. I never thought that I would be here forever, for longer than when I was in the US, but this is home for me now. So I think it's been a real, everybody faces their fears at some point or another, or they, I didn't even know I had a fear about it. I just thought, I want to live on the other side of the world. I love their accent is what I said, and now, and I love the weather, and there's so many things that, if we allow ourselves to just take that leap, then, look where it lands us.
That's
Imagine.
Right. You just never know what life has in store for you. You just have to keep saying
yes. Yeah. So I think that's where the power lies. And if there's a secret to us as women in our, in our midlives, it's like, well, feel the fear and do it anyway.
That's right. Yeah. Well, Jenny, this has been so much fun.
I hope you enjoyed our conversation today. As a thank you for being here, I'd like to offer you my glorious second act workbook and planner. It's a great tool to help you gain clarity on what it is you want next in your life and to create a plan to get you there. It's a totally free gift. The link is down below, so click the link, download your planner, and get started, taking action and creating a new and exciting second half to your life. I'm Joanne Kobike, your midlife coach. Stop by again for another episode of Modern Midlife. See you next time.